I offer my humble obeisance unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udiraye. Before reciting Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisance unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati nashtaki. By regular attendance in the classes on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Namo Pankajanaಭಾಯ Nama Pankajamaline Nama Pankajanitraya Namaste Pankajangriye. Hare Krishna, dear Vaishnavas, thank you so much for joining. We are so blessed to again get one more opportunity to read Bhagavatam. Every day is precious, every day is an opportunity, every day is a blessing. When we have that consciousness, we will take every reading of Bhagavatam very, very seriously, because we don't know if we will get chance to read tomorrow. So let's absorb completely. Canto 7, Chapter 13, The Behavior of a Perfect Person. This chapter is about the qualities of sannyasi, which we started to read yesterday. So let's read the next verse, text number 6. Nabhinande dhruvam mrityum adhruvam vasya jivitam kalam paramam pratiksheta bhutanam prabhavapyayam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Since the material body is sure to be vanquished and the duration of one's life is not fixed, neither death nor life is to be praised. Rather, one should observe the eternal time factor in which the living entities manifests himself and disappears. Purport: the living entity in the material world, not only at the present but also in the past, have been involved in trying to solve the problem of birth and death. Some stress death and point to the illusory existence of everything material, whereas others stress life, trying to preserve it perpetually and enjoy it to the best of their ability. Both of them are fools and rascals. It is advised that one observe the eternal time factor, which is the cause of the material body's appearance and disappearance, and that one observe the living entity's entanglement in this time factor. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur therefore sings in his Gitavali, Anadi karma phale padi bhavarnava jale tari bare na dekhi upaya. One should observe the activities of eternal time, which is the cause of birth and death. Before the creation of the present millennium, the living entities were under the influence of the time factor, and within the time factor, the material world comes into existence and is again annihilated. Bhutva bhutva praliyate. Being under the control of the time factor, the living entities appear and die life after life. The time factor is the impersonal representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who gives the living entities conditioned by material nature a chance to emerge from this material nature by surrendering unto Him. Hare Krishna. So, text number 6, observing the time factor. It is one of the 5 topics of Bhagavad Gita as well. Kala. Krishna says, Kalo asmi. I am that time factor. And Prabhupada here is mentioning time is it's the impersonal representation. Basically, everything is running under his direction. So it's the time factor as well. Every morning the sun rises and then the sun sets. And with every morning and every sunset, we are going closer to death. But the point is not to be death conscious. Oh, death is coming, life is illusory, death is coming. That's Prabhupada is saying. Some people are like that. Yes, we become aware that death is coming, but what next? The intelligent person sees, oh, after time, because of the time factor, I'll be born again. And then I'll be born again. Maybe in a dog's body, maybe in a cat's body, maybe in heaven, maybe in hell. What is the real solution to birth and death? So, and some are on the other extreme. Hey, don't talk about death and all. Why are you so pessimistic? Live life king size, enjoy, work hard, party harder. Yavat jivet sukham jive. Jab tak jina sukh se jiyo. Why are you worrying about death? Just enjoy. That's the other extreme. So, intelligent person, a devotee, understands that life is a beautiful creation of God. It is meant for a specific purpose. Death will come. Before the death comes, before the exam comes, let me prepare for the exam. And that is to be Krishna conscious, observing the time factor. The time, my parents, my grandparents, my relatives, my neighbors, no one is eternal. Everyone is dying at certain point, whether at 50 years, 60, 70, 80, 90, whatever age, everyone. So my time will come. So better my time comes. Before that, let me observe this whole thing. Let me understand this whole science of bhakti and time and take to Krishna consciousness so that I don't have to come again in this birth and death. That's what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying. That's what Bhagvatam is saying. Any other comments, questions anyone has? Okay, let's read next verse, text 7. Nandini Mataji, you want to read?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Always to Srila Prabhupada, Dandavat Pranam devotees. Text 7. Nasa chastreshu sajjeta nopajive jivikam vadavadansta jet tarka paksham kam chana samshrayet. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Literature that is a useless waste of time. In words, literature without spiritual benefit should be rejected. One should not become a professional teacher as a means of earning one's livelihood, nor should one indulge in arguments and counter-arguments, nor should one take shelter of any cause or faction, purport. A person desiring to advance in spiritual understanding should be extremely careful to avoid reading ordinary literature. The world is full of ordinary literature that creates unnecessary agitation in the mind. Such literature, including newspapers, dramas, novels, and magazines, is factually not meant for advancement in spiritual knowledge. Indeed, it has been described as a place of enjoyment for crows. Tad Vayasam Tirtham. Anyone advancing in spiritual knowledge must reject such literature. Furthermore, one should not concern oneself with the conclusions of various logicians or philosophers. Of course, those who preach sometimes need to argue with the contentions of opponents, but as much as possible, one should avoid an argumentative attitude. In this connection, Srila Madhavacharya says, Aprayojana paksham na samshrayet na prayojana pakshishan na vritha Shishya Baddha Krit Na Chodasina Shastrani Na Viruddhani Chabhya Set Na Vyakhayo Pajiveta Na Nisiddhan Samacharet Evam Bhuto Yatir Yati Tad Eka Sharano Bharim. There is no need to take shelter of unnecessary literature or concern oneself with many so-called philosophers and thinkers who are useless for spiritual advancement. Nor should one accept a disciple for the sake of fashion or popularity. One should be callous to these so-called shastras, neither opposing nor favoring them. And one should not earn one's livelihood by taking money for explaining shastra. A sannyasi must always be neutral and seek the means to advance in spiritual life, taking full shelter under the lotus feet of the Lord. So I feel that the main thing is that there is so many avenues of doing prajalpa, wasting our time. It may not be directly talking about people, but it may be reading about people in the newspapers, in the magazines, in the novels and dramas. And basically all it comes down to is that it's just some personal um, uh, sense gratification that the other people did, and that's what newspaper is printing about. Dramas and novels. Somebody fought somebody. Somebody killed somebody. This is happening every day. But this is some people read newspaper for hours, and this is, as it says here, is enjoyment for crows. It's just that they really need higher taste. They need to adopt to higher taste, and we should reject these literatures, because if we want to make spiritual advancement, um, it's really important not to get distracted. It's really important to save that time and utilize it for the spiritual advancement. And then it talks about Srila Madhavacharya's verse. After a while you start taking shelter in the literature. You start thinking that, oh, this is truth, this is the fact, this is the ultimate truth, but this is useless. And then another topic it talks about is one should not accept disciples for the sake of livelihood. One should not look at them while you're teaching. One should not look at it as a source of income, which is that this is what it translates to. Because although in the material world we say there is a popular song, money is honey, but in the spiritual world, this money is the biggest cause of attachment, is the biggest anchor that keeps us coming back to this material world. And then it talks about how a sannyasi should be neutral. In other places, it says guru means to cut. He's a heavy, and a sannyasi usually tends to be a guru. So his duty is to remain neutral. So he should be equal to all his disciples, and then he should always take the full shelter of a Supreme Personality of Godhead. And as we have seen in the previous chapter, sannyasi's duty is to give Krishna consciousness to others. So if he is situated at the lotus feet of the Lord, which is Prabhupada, Prabhupada has Abhay Charan. He's fearless, and he has taken shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna. He's always situated at the lotus feet of Krishna. So such a person is qualified to accept disciples all over the world. Back to you, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. I was just thinking that in this verse, literature is mentioned, but in modern day and age, literature can also be referred to as videos, because there is so many videos available these days. And I'm personally actually guilty of this, that there are sometimes, some silly videos, some pranks, which is not against any, regulative principle, but it just takes the precious time and energy, and it just takes us away from Krishna. It's like Pralambasur, things that, it will give me pleasure, some silly humor, some prank, but one after the other, it does not stop. One will come and automatically next will come, and then next will come, and then we'll realize, 1 hour is over, 30 minutes gone, Time is very, very precious. I'm just saying for myself, actually it takes us away. His Grace Gauranga Darshan Prabhu, who was a very, very nice devotee, was mentioning that uh, there was a devotee who started to follow one of the management gurus. There are so many management gurus who talk about, a lot of management stuff and this and that. And it's fine if one has the right intelligence to use it in the right way and take the essence out of it. But the problem is that then he stopped bhakti and just started to follow that management guru. And then their spiritual master gave them the order, you develop management principles from Bhagvatam and Mahabharata, etc. We don't have to go anywhere else. Everywhere, everything, Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavatam is giving essence of everything. So the point here is that literature without spiritual benefit should be rejected. Of course, in one's profession, one has to study something, whether it is medicine or it is engineering. So that is one's material side. And if the fruits of that hard work are engaged in Krishna consciousness, that work also becomes spiritual. So that is also in one way spiritual. It is having spiritual benefit. So it's not. It should not that, oh, why should I go to college? This book does not. This talks about calculus. It doesn't talk about Krishna. But if one has the right consciousness, which is not very easy, easier said than done, but therefore we need the core Krishna consciousness to make the indirect processes also Krishna conscious. If the core is missing, then everything is missing. If the Shravanam, Kirtanam, reading, hearing, chanting is missing, then our rest of the day will also be very dull and dry. Our job will be very dull and dry. Our responsibilities, family responsibilities, kids, husband, wife, children, we will not be able to connect to Krishna if the core, like reading, hearing, chanting, etc., is missing. So one should never compromise the core Krishna conscious activities. Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtan, Bhagavad Shravana, Mathura Vasa Shri Murtira, Shraddhaya Sevana. Any other thoughts, comments, questions anyone has? Okay, let's read one more verse. Sivalas Prabhu, you want to read?
Yes, Prabhuji. Join Prabhuji, can you tell me which verse?
Text 8, Prabhu.
Oh, thank you, Prabhu. Mataji.
No. Sorry, I was on mute.
Na shishyan anubadnita grantan naivabhyashed bahun na vyakhyan upayukita naraban arabet kwachit. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. A sannyasi must not present allurements of material benefits to gather many disciples, nor should he unnecessarily read many books or give discourses as a means of livelihood. He must never attempt to increase material opulences unnecessarily. Purport. So-called swamis and yogis generally make disciples by alluring them with material benefits. There are many so-called gurus who attract disciples by promising to cure their diseases or increase their material opulence by manufacturing gold. There are lucrative allurements for unintelligent men. A sannyasi is prohibited from making disciples through such material allurements. Sannyasis sometimes indulge in material opulence by unnecessarily constructing many temples and monasteries, but actually such endeavors should be avoided. Temples and monasteries should be constructed for the preaching of spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness, not to provide free hotels for persons who are useful for neither material nor spiritual purposes. Temples and monasteries should be strictly off limits to worthless clubs of crazy men. In the Krishna consciousness movement, we welcome everyone who agreed at least to follow the movement's regulative principles: no illicit sex, no intoxication, no meat eating, and no gambling. In the temples and monasteries, gatherings of unnecessarily rejected lazy folk should be strictly disallowed. The temples and monasteries should be used exclusively by devotees who are serious about spiritual advancement in Krishna consciousness. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura explains the word Arabhan as meaning Mathadi Vyaparan, which means attempt to construct temples and monasteries. The first business of the sannyasis is to preach Krishna consciousness. But if by the grace of Krishna facilities are available, then he may construct temples and monasteries to give shelter to the serious students of Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, such temples and monasteries are not needed. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So this verse is Prabhupada is very, very powerful and is very heavy on showboats who create who use spiritual qualities or use their spirituality for material opulences. We see many such godmen in India who are not authentic. They are doing that only to increase their wealth, or they are promising material opulences for whoever become their disciples. And Prabhupada is rejecting all such kind of religious men and all those kind of temples and monasteries. And Prabhupada is setting the gold standard for what devotees at the temple should be like, what their qualities should be, and what the temple should be used for. Prabhupada is clearly saying that whoever resides in the temple should be 100% focused on Krishna consciousness and preaching, and not for anything else. We know there are places that show a lot of opulences, but even a simple temple that gives that teaches Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, that is greater than artificial allurements, just promising some material benefits to whoever visits. So this verse is very powerful, and also can be connected to many things happening today. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.
Prabhu, you're on
Thank
mute.
you. Thank you. Yes. Thank you so much, Siddhas Prabhu, for reading. This question comes in many, especially challenging people who don't have that much faith and want to oppose. Why you build temples? Why don't you build hospitals? See, at the time of COVID, are the hospitals helpful or are the temples helpful? They'll challenge like this. What are the temples doing? The hospitals are curing people. And yes, we are not against the hospitals, but the point is, who will cure the cancer of mind? The problems of mind. There are more. Like recently, just one day back, one other Indian celebrity committed suicide. Celebrity. Indian, like he had done some movies or shows or something. He was like a TV star. Committed suicide again. And this is like fifth or sixth in the last couple of months. Don't we need temple is the place. It's like the hospital for the mind. So we're not against the doctors or the hospitals and the medicine profession. All that is required for the body. But the temple is a hospital for the mind, to cure the problems in the mind and consciousness. There are more emotional problems than physical problems these days. Someone asked Prabhupada that why are you building such elaborate temples? And Prabhupada took his stick and made a small circle around himself. He said, I can, sit throughout my life for the next rest of my life and sit here and chant and be happy. But will you come and hear Bhagavad Gita? No. So the goal is not to build a gorgeous temple for one's sense gratification. Oh, I have nothing to do. Let me join this temple. I'll get some food and I'll get a place to stay. That's not the purpose of temple. Temple is a place, is like an educational school. Prabhupada said, ISKCON is an educational institution to teach the real education about Krishna consciousness, to be free from the sufferings of birth, old age, disease, and death. Who will provide that education? Now, where is it provided? So that's the purpose of temple, to save from going into the hellish life. Therefore, it is very, very essential. It is an essential business. Any other comments, questions?
Prabhuji, this sensitive topic. We know the Ram Mandir is being built in India, Ayodhya. So how should we be? So we know Ram is our Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we should be happy about that. But should we also agree with the way it was done by demolishing a mosque? So I don't know how to, because this verse is kind of touching on that point also.
I'm not so aware of the history of the temple and what exactly happened. So again, so I will not comment since I'm not aware of the history and what exactly happened and how the mosque came in there and all those pieces. So it's hard for me to comment or anything. But yeah, sorry if that does not answer your question. Anyone wants to add or answer that?
Prabhu, based on what we just read in the previous text, it's newspaper, we have to rely on what happened. And we are clearly reading that we should not rely on the newspapers because it's going to be offering one's perspective against another. And as far as your question about worshipping Lord Ram, you're right in a sense where you're coming from. It has to be in your heart. That worship has to start in your heart, and then your heart is a temple. And like Shubhadas Govind Prabhu said, other than that, I don't have anything to add, Prabhu. Dandavats. Nice question. Thank you. Very thoughtful question.
Thank you.
Prabhuji, I would like to say one more thing. Yesterday, Sudhi Prabhuji have posted one quote of Srila Prabhupada. It was in Hawaii in 1969, stating that in this time, in this age, it is more need to create devotees than to create temples. I think it lies. Like only mere creating temples is not enough. There should be more devotees. And I think it's the same thing that is meant in this purport also, that in he may construct temples and monasteries to give shelter to the serious students of Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, such temples and monasteries are not needed. So they are interconnected.
Thank you for referring that Prabhupada's words, and absolutely. Creating temple is not difficult. Creating devotees is very difficult. If devotees are there, then temple will come naturally. But if the temple is there, it's not that the devotees will come naturally. So, because to make devotees, as Prabhupada says, it takes gallons of blood. Temple is some plastic, cement, iron, some material elements, and then building a temple center or whatever a place is not that difficult. One big donor comes and says, I'll give all the money. But who will take care of the temple? He'll come once and give all the money, but there are no devotees for service. Then how will the temple, what's the meaning of the temple? Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, some of his disciples were a little fighting about the temple and Bagh Bazaar, Mutt. He said, if I would have known that, there will be arguments about who will get the better room in the temple or marble and stuff. Marble at that point was not a common thing. Oh, this room has marble, I'll take the room with the marble. So he said people will be fighting over the marble room. I would have sold that marble and printed books to make more devotees. So yes, that's our mission. Prabhupada made thousands and thousands and thousands of disciples, devotees, and 100 temples also, so that devotees can continue and execute bhakti and inspire more. Yes, anyone else?
So Prabhu, just one comment as a representative of TOVP team. Janani Vas Prabhu really stresses on the fact that Prabhupada also said, preaching should be so strong that you should be able to build one temple every year. So that is also a corollary, Prabhu. Dandavats, thank you very much. Just another perspective. And Janani Vas Prabhu was very strong about this. Hare Krishna. Dandavats.
Mentioning that, yes. Every statement has its context. Every text has a context. Because if there is no enthusiasm, then there will be no drive to do more. So enthusiasm, okay. And if more devotees are coming, then naturally center is a natural outcome of it. Because devotees will need a place to do worship, to associate, to render service. So thank you for mentioning that, Mataji. Anyone else? Any comments, questions? Nikant Prabhu, you have something to share?
No, Prabhu. Thank you.
Okay, then as per the plan, we will do a quiz. Is everyone ready for the quiz? For chapter 11 and chapter 12, the last two chapters. So you can all take your phones out and we will do a quiz. Open kahoot.it, K-A-H-O-O-T. It's very interesting. So don't sign off or don't think it's boring. Don't think I don't want this quiz stuff. It is enriching, engaging, and enlightening. It will help to brush up the chapter, and it is fun also. So it's very nice in all aspects. So let me share my screen. Okay, are you able to see my screen? So now go to this website, kahoot.it. You don't need to download any apps or anything. And then it will ask you to enter a game pin. So you enter this pin. And then put a nickname. And then you'll see questions here. And on your phone, you'll have to click on the right option, which is presented by a color. So you can only click on one option, or you cannot click twice. So if you pick a wrong one, then you pick a wrong one. That's it. And it's a little competitive also. So if you get the goal is to answer correct and quick. So you get extra points if you answer quickly and correctly. So did everyone sign in? And if you want, you can unmute yourself. If you don't have any background sounds, you can unmute yourself. That will add to more fun. But yeah, don't speak the answers while you are unmuted. Who else is missing? BS. BS. Who is BS? KM. Wow. Hard to recognize. Bhaswati Mataji? KM is who? Kirti Mataji? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm here, Prabhuji. Yes.
BS? Okay. So Nandini 2. Wow. 2? Your daughter Mataji is joining? Your friend? Okay. Should I start? Or is anyone still confused, not aware what's going on?
Give me a second. Sorry, I'm mixed up. You want us to sign on the phone, right?
Yes, on the phone.
Okay, I signed on the computer. Sorry, that's what I did last time too, and it was very difficult. Okay.
If you have like dual screens, then you can use like see on this one screen, and if you have dual screens, then yes, that's an option.
What's the password, Prabhu? Sorry.
The pin is 330829.
Thank you.
Yeah, Kashish Mataji, you were saying something?
I just need 2 minutes. Actually, I'm switching my devices.
Okay,
Just 1 minute more, Prabhuji.
1, 2, 3, 12, 13, 14, 15. Vijaya Mataji, did you join? Oh, you joined. So there are 15 on call, exclude me 14. And right now there are 10 here. A few are still missing. Lakshmi Mataji, you joined. Okay, you joined.
Prabhuji, just 2 minutes, just 1
Yes,
minute.
Yes.
I'm just switching the
Okay.
device.
Yeah, you are in now.
Yeah.
Prabhu, can you switch off this music or no?
Okay. Is it better?
Yeah.
I lowered it. Who else is missing? Raghu Prabhu joined. Umesh Prabhu is there. Silas Prabhu is there.
I couldn't join.
Oh, you couldn't. You want to join, Prabhu?
Yeah, I don't know how to do it in.
You have. Are you joining with your phone? You need 2 gadgets basically. If you have a spare phone or then you will see questions on one, and with the other second gadget, you go to this website khoot.it and then enter this pin. Then you will be in. So you need 2 gadgets, either a laptop or if you have 2 screens, you can see this on one screen and on the other screen you can click. You can also join in the middle, Prabhu, or you can just spectate like me. Okay, we will start. Okay? Okay. All the best. Haribol. Let's see who wins today. Remember, you have to answer correctly and quickly. Okay? So, who inquired from Narad Muni? To hear about the general occupation duties of human society. Who inquired? The timer is running here. If you don't answer before timer runs out, then you don't get points. It was Yudhishthir Maharaj inquired from Narad Muni. Okay. The system of social and spiritual advancement of human society is called what? What is it called? Wonderful. It's called Varna Ashrama Dharma. That's chapters. Okay, Nandini Mataji has done a lot of homework. She is reviewing the lessons. Lord Narayana, Narayana are still executing great austerities near which place? Where are they executing tapasya? Badrik Ashram. Yes, very nice. So you answer quickly and correctly, you get, if you answer quickly, you get more points. On the basis of what is satisfied? The answer is everything. Body, mind, soul. Everyone is happy, everything is happy. Question 5. Narad Muni tells there are qualifications to be acquired which can satisfy Supreme Personality of Godhead. How many qualifications Narad Muni spoke about? 10, 20, 30, 40. There were 21 supporting qualifications and 9 Navada Bhakti basically. So 21 plus 9, 30. The answer is 30. It was KM. Good. In the Varnashrama Dharma, the first ceremony for purification for propagating a child is what? What's the first samskara? These are all different samskaras. Which is the first one for propagating a good child? Yes, it's Garbhadhan sanskar. Upanayan comes later. Okay, according to the Varnashrama Dharma, Brahmana has how many occupational duties? 22, 15, 6, 30, 15, 12. Six, yes, the answer is 6. Wow, Mishra got 7 in a row. Nice. Engaging in the service of low-grade person is called what? What is it called? Only 5 seconds left, so you have to see at this timer also and answer before that. Oh, Swavritti. Shwa means dog. Vritti means profession. Dog profession. Shuniche eva shwapa keva pandita samadarshina. Nandini Mataji back. Mishra also falling. Haribo. In the time of emergency, one may accept any of the various professions, but not what? What can one not accept?
Prabhu, this question is wrong because these are not, it's probably Brahmana should be, it's like Brahmana Kshatriya, this question is wrong.
How is it?
It is right.
It is right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What you studied?
No, because you see the last question, this is related to that. If that is not, because then it is connected with the last question, this question.
Okay, Prabhu.
Okay. Yeah, a few more questions. You can still do a comeback. Serving one's master. performing sacrifices without uttering mantras, not stealing. Which varna? These are the symptoms of which varna?
Hola, 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 hola.
Okay. Wow, it is close competition. Next one. Principles followed by chaste women are what? Nice, everyone got it nicely. So now there is so close competition. A brahmachari in both junctions of day and night should be fully absorbed in thoughts of whom? Whose thoughts? Yes, the answer is all of the above. Four more questions. Yams collected by the brahmachari what should be done? Yes, should be offered to the spiritual master. Okay, let's see who gets this one right. Up it here. Oh, yeah. Woman is compared to fire and man to butter pot. So, 3 more to go. Yes, Grihasthas. And that's basically Garbhan Sanskar. Last question. Oh, sorry, second last question. Which loka? Following the Varna Vanaprastha ashram rigidly, which loka one goes to? They are the upper planets. Gur, Bhuva, Mahar, Swar, Jana, Tapa, Satya or Brahmaloka. Maharloka. Yes, that was a little confusing. Good. But ultimately, devotee who takes to the bhakti process goes back home, back to Godhead. Last question. Should only eat what? fruits ripened by sunshine. Let's see the podium. Third place, Kashish Mataji. Wonderful. Number 2, Mishro. And number 1, Nandini Mataji. Very cool. From Sivas Prabhu and KM. Number 4 and 5. Haribol to everyone. Because in Bhakti, everyone wins. No one is a loser. So I hope you all relished it. Thank you so much for participating and studying so nicely, giving your association. So thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Prabhuji, for putting the questions together and organizing this. Actually, it helps us remember if we go through this experience. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Everyone likes it?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Yes. We are all child by heart, so we like these things. Which is good. It's a nice way of spiritual learning as well as recreation as well. So it's very nice. Okay, we will stop here. And not to forget, tomorrow His Holiness Bhakti Marg Swami Maharaj will be there. So he's a wonderful devotee, Prabhupada disciple, initiating Guru. Very nice devotee. And on Sunday, it's already posted that the class will be at 7:30 a.m. because Adigadar Prabhu, had some other commitments. So it will be at 7:30 a.m. So please plan your day accordingly. Okay. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Gaur Bhaktavinda ki jai, Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.